right, welcome back to the weekly Wolverine podcast. Now let's talk about the Detroit Tigers, and they've been playing some good baseball. So the Tigers beat the White Sox last night by a score of 2-1. They've now won 5 games in a row. The offense has come alive since Riley Green has stepped up, and I think he was the perfect addition to this team. This team was in need of a spark. Riley Green is a special, special baseball player. Great power. Even though he only has one home run, that home run was emphatic. He's very good at getting hits and getting extra base hits. And I still feel like there's even some room for him to grow. I think he's a guy that can be a 8 or 900 OPS guy in his career, and that's exactly what we need. But I am starting to fear that there's an overreaction from the fan base. Yes, we are playing good baseball, but also it's a 162 game season, and you're not going to lose every single game. And sorry if I'm not going to, jump up and down that we're only 10 games under 500. That's not acceptable right now. The excuses of, we didn't have an off season. The baseballs aren't the same this year. Those excuses are over. Also, last year we were saying that this was supposed to be a playoff team this year, or at least competing for a playoff spot, at least around 500. So this is still an absolute disaster of a baseball team. And, if they end and they lose 90 plus games, which they probably will, it's an absolute failure of a baseball season. And Avila absolutely has to go. Is Avila a complete idiot? No. Avila has picked some good players. But it's not really that impressive when you consider he's had first-round picks the past 5 years. He's had his lion's share to to pick talent. And he's also had some pretty good assets to trade. Ian Kinsler, JD Martinez, Justin Verlander. I want you to do a favor. Go look up the players they acquired for those three. Look at where they are now. That tells you everything you need to know about Avila. And in all these draft picks, twice you didn't have the number 1 overall pick, which should always be a hit. So I'm not going to give him credit for Mize and Torkelson. So you finally got one good player in Riley Green. To me, it's a blind squirrel that finally found an acorn. A pretty obvious acorn. Maybe not the most obvious, but certainly one of these picks was going to hit. Even Matt Millen had picks that hit. Avila's done a decent job with the pitching staff. I get that Britsky's done tremendous. Skubal looks really good. Faedo looks good. And we've had some bad luck there. So the pitching staff does look good. I'll give him that. But you can't go into a season with that much money to spend. And the best you can come up with is a career lineup that has a 730 OPS, hitting about 250, 240. That's not good enough. The reality is you have not invested in excellent baseball players. Javier Baez, as good as he is defensively, is slightly above average as a career hitter. 768 OPS, 250 batting average. And right now he's hot. But when he's not hot, boy, he is an absolute disaster. Avila completely failed in this free agency. And he has his entire career, to be fair. Jonathan Scope, decent player, not worth what we're paying him. The reality is Correa was there, Seager was there. There were a lot of guys with much, much better power numbers. Even if their batting average wasn't as high, which is what people look at. And I think we should turn in baseball to changing our view of batting average. We should look at OPS as the new batting average. On-base percentage plus slugging percentage. Closer to 1,000 you are, the better. So Carlos Correa is a career 850 to 900 OPS player. That's the kind of guy you want on your team. Because right now, nobody on this team is even close to that for their career or the season. It's a disaster on all fronts, and it's just that simple. Avila cannot evaluate talent, at least on the offensive end. So he needs to go. If they win tonight, if they win these next 3 or 4 games, it's not going to change that because this team is still a below 500 ball club with a historically bad offense. They're starting to pick it up a little bit, but it's still a very, very bad offense. And that shouldn't be the standard. The standard should be we should be at least above 500, and we're not even close to that. So this is the last chance for me with Avila. I gave this team an opportunity to get close to 500 in the All-Star break. They're not close to that. So Chris Chris has got to make the move, or I'm not sure I'm going to be going to many Tigers games because I'm not going to support an owner that doesn't want to win or that isn't going to do whatever it takes to win. So there's that. It's a nice stretch, and I love seeing this team win, but it doesn't change the overall picture that this season is still an absolute disaster. All right, coming up next, our last team to talk about, the Detroit Lions. Not much news going on, but there was an article that really caught my attention. I'll tell you about it in just a second.